cafe. Anyway, hello everybody.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2665. Hello, it's Mike Matthews. How are you today? Excellent. Mike's Daily Podcast. We're gonna bring you a podcast that I do, and I've done it a while. It's episode 2665. Hey, smile, even though your heart is breaking, even though your feet are aching, because you've been walking all day, and maybe you need to do a little shaking, do a little dancing to the song called Mike's Daily Podcast. And if you're listening to this on the 30th, it's National Beach Day. So get over to the beach now. Mike's right now. Daily. Doesn't need to be the ocean. Podcast. It could be a lake. Yeah. Lakes have beaches. And then go see the movie Beaches and cry. No, don't do that. Perhaps you're listening to this on the 31st. If that's the case, today is National Eat Outside Day. Because you can't have enough yellow jackets trying to get into your food. And then if you're trying to take a bite, when you get the yellow jacket in your mouth, it will bite the inside of your mouth. Yep. Hasn't happened to me, but I've had something similar where I was walking along and a yellow jacket got into my hand. My hand was slightly cupped as I was walking. It got into my hand, thought it was trapped, and bit me. And then I'm stung, and I've got this stinging hand all day. So that's what I would say to you is don't eat a yellow jacket. Also, National Trail Mix Day. Because we live in California and we're all made out of granola, we need to talk about trail mix. Oh, delicious trail mix. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's really wonderful. National Matchmaker Day. I have never, ever known a good matchmaker. I've known matchmakers. Hey, Mike, you'd be perfect with this person. And they're always wrong. So luckily, I met my lovely lady friend by chance.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It should be of the beach, but it's not. It's of this blue moon. Blue moon, you left me. Because it is two full moons in the same month, and this is going to be a really big full moon. This is not the actual full moon, a blue moon that is happening now, but apparently this will be the last huge big blue moon till 2037. I heard today. So yes, and we should all bark at the moon, like the late great Basil the Boxer used to bark at the moon and bark at bats and seagulls and sandpipers at the beach. If you go to the beach, and cats and people named Jonathan Katz because he liked that comedian, thought he was funny. He was also a psychologist. How does he do both? He's a comedian and a psychologist. But if you are listening to this on the 29th, it's National Lemon Juice Day. Wow. I heard a collective snore. But you know, lemon juice is very important. You put it in all kinds of foods. It adds that acidity that helps oh so much. I would like to read to you, and it does. You need acidity and to make the palette of flavors explode in what you are making. But what I wanted to talk about was a couple of things in that I have not talked to you since Saturday. I know it's Mike's Daily Podcast. Occasionally I get interrupted. One of the things I was going to do and then tell you about was go to my lovely lady friend's graduation. I talked about it on the last podcast. Let me tell you how that went. No, my lovely lady friend isn't graduating from high school. I'm not a sicko, dirty old man Mike. I am a wonderful, happy Mike that's not creepy in any way whatsoever. And once you said that, then everybody questions if you are or not. No, here's the point. No, my lovely lady friend, I was trying to make a joke out of it. It didn't work because she's not graduating from high school or college, but she was graduating from yoga teacher school. She took a class for over a year on how to be a yoga instructor. and she's graduating. Well, I was told, she goes, we're going to go to, this is the day of my graduation. Don't make any plans. We're going to go to this cool person's house, and I'm going to graduate. I thought, fantastic. So I drove her to this house, and I'm walking her towards the door. I see a couple of her classmates. Nobody else has their collective partners, spouses, loved ones with them. They're just by themselves. I'm like, okay, that's a bit odd. And then I get to the door with my lovely lady friend, and the owner of the house, the person that owns this yoga studio and is conducting the graduation, she says to me, you're just dropping her off, right? In the most subtle of terms. Yes, I said immediately, like with not even a beat happened, not even that I just stopped talking for a second, not even that amount of time. I just instantly said, yeah, hey, let me know when you're ready. Text me when you're ready. I'll pick you up. Like I'm like her dad or something. Okay, that went back into creepy world. So, the whole day, I had planned for weeks to go to this thing. I've been talking about it on the podcast ad infinitum, and I didn't get to go. Oh, Mike.
Whoa. Mike's Matthewsman Park.
The front panel will close automatically. Please remain seated at all times.
When you're getting older,
ginormous,
and society's getting ageist, more and more ageist all the time. Everything everybody says about Joe Biden on the right, some on the left. Just people do not like old people. It's just how it is. It's terrible. Maybe that's how it's always been. And now that I'm getting into the old realm, I'm understanding it better. But hey, on the other hand, it's like, I don't have to deal with all this pressure and the stupidity that young people put up with. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Anyway.
So much unnecessary pressure. And it's even worse now with social media. All the pressure that doesn't really exist. It's all in your mind. All this social media stuff. Who cares what they think? Who cares that I didn't get to go into the yoga graduation? Who cared? You know what? I left and I went to some friend's house. We had a great time. I hadn't talked to them in a long time. We laughed about the whole situation. It was wonderful. Life gives you lemons, gives you lemon juice, and you got to make lemonade out of it all the time.
Mike's out of left
lemonade. And you know what? It's good for you. It's got vitamin C, and the acidity helps your stomach. Just don't drink too much.
Captures actions that
I wanted to read this one little... Oh, the other thing was... I love it when people... It's the kettle calling... The pot calling the kettle black. That kind of... That expression. That happens all the time. At work. Somebody was complaining about somebody. And I'm like, you realize that everything you're complaining about this guy for, you do too. That kind of thing. That's wonderful. I love that. I know. You see that all the time. Your family.
And now we return you to our regularly scheduled program with Mike Matthews.
That tends to happen. And who knows? I might be doing it right now. But you should just try and be a little more self-aware is, I guess, what I'm thinking. Or just aware of what's happening around you. Or not. Who cares what people think? Maybe that's the way. Somebody was talking about all the stuff that's happening with Trump. All the indictments. And how, he had that mugshot taken. Was it on Monday? And he just looked right in the camera, and he did it like he was doing a magazine cover. And just like there's no level to which he can be humiliated. And there are some celebrities, a lot of celebrities. In fact, somebody said on the radio about this that the definition of a celebrity is someone who has no...
The Fascinating Material Project.
They just don't get embarrassed. I think that's amazing. They don't care. I mean, at some point, it comes back to roost. Those chickens. But here's an interesting commentary. That's my little bit of commentary. And thinking ahead to if, in fact, he does get, let's say, convicted for one of the three things that he's being indicted for. And let's say he's under house arrest. And let's say he's elected. And let's say he is our president. And he can't leave the house. He's got an ankle bracelet on. Or worse, he's in jail, an actual jail, and he's our president. That's a whole other thing. I don't know. Just, you can comment on whether you think he should be thrown in jail or whether all of this is a ploy by the media, the liberal media, to try and take the guy that you want to be president and put him away so he can't win, to make it so he can't win. Well, what if he does win and he's in jail running the country? That'll be interesting.
What was that all about?
And it's some place that I don't know if anybody's talking about this.
A fine article.
You silly, great, fat article.
I know there's probably been some leader that was running the country from jail in the history of the world. None spring to mind. I'm not the great historian that you think I am, but you probably don't think I am. So the Department of Justice announced on August 24th that it was suing Elon Musk's Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, or SpaceX. And can we all just stop calling it, saying Twitter, formerly X, formerly Twitter? I keep hearing that. X, formerly Twitter. Just like they say Myanmar, formerly the other thing. I can't think of it now. But yes, can we just keep calling it Twitter? I don't care if he's calling it X. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter because I like to do the tweets. But you know, and I'm at Mike Talks is my handle on Twitter. And I just see, I'm not even going to say the X thing. For discriminating against asylees and refugees in its hiring practices. The news took off on X, formerly Twitter. Well, they wrote that down. I accidentally read it. But that's what they... Stop. It's still Twitter. With the ferocity of a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket, and as to be expected on social media, one man's opinion quickly became another man's fact. Almost every tweet echoed the... See, they still call it a tweet. Almost every tweet echoed the same error, which was the lawsuit is about Musk / SpaceX not hiring illegal aliens and or asylum seekers. The truth is, the suit alleges the company's hiring practices discriminate against refugees who at no point were illegal aliens, and asylees, aliens the U.S. government has granted asylum, not all of whom were previously illegal, and making any prior illegal entry or period of unlawful presence irrelevant. A little background is helpful here for our discussion. And then it goes on to a whole thing about the Immigration Reform and Control Act in 1986, making it illegal to hire, recruit, or refer for a fee an unauthorized alien.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
Quote unquote. If lawbreakers placing the onus on the executive branch to inspect, investigate, and ensure compliance, and it introduced civil and criminal penalties. This was written by Project for Immigration Reform. They sent me an email about this. So it concludes with saying, notwithstanding the legality of SpaceX's hiring practices, it seems Congress should reevaluate whether aliens with questionably verifiable backgrounds or potentially divided loyalties to their native country should be allowed to work with or around restricted technology like rockets. Okay, that's what I guess was the crux of their argument. Interesting. Well, final notice, Stitcher has discontinued services as of today, August 29th. I enjoyed Stitcher for when it existed. Back in the day, I think they'd been in business for about 2 or 3 years. I emailed them and asked if I could check out their place that they had there on Montgomery. Oh, there's Rocky the cat. Yes, Rocky, this is way before you were born. So I'm sorry to tell you about something that was before you were born, Rocky, but there was a time. It was over on Montgomery Street, Rocky, in the city. And I took Bart there and introduced myself. They showed me around. They gave me a couple Stitcher bumper stickers, which I still have, and a Stitcher t-shirt, which now is probably worth something. And they said, hey, whenever you want to record anything, you can come into our studios here and record. It's very nice. Then they invited me a couple months later to a special dinner, a pizza dinner that they had at their place. They bought a couple pizzas, invited people over, podcasters, and I got to meet some people that they had popular podcasts at that time, which I don't remember any of them right now. And they probably don't exist anymore. And then they invited me to their podcast awards. I wasn't nominated for anything, but they had it at the chapel in San Francisco. And oh, what fun that was. I got to meet some podcasters that I had listened to through the Stitcher app. Well, the Stitcher app is gone. It has been bought by SiriusXM. They decided to get rid of Stitcher. It's been absorbed into that and into Pandora. So Pandora and SiriusXM basically are all owning a bit of Stitcher. So thought that was a bit of interesting news to pass along to you. And one more little bit of news, because I have a bunch. Thanks for hanging out with me this far into the podcast. There is that interesting bit of news here I found out from Rob Black. I produce his podcast. He says food delivery declines as diners switch to pickup. Fast casual food delivery is becoming less popular as more people off the couch and opt for takeout or in-person dining. I think Rob missed a word somewhere in there, but the dip in delivery is largely because consumers are watching their wallets. With pandemic lockdowns behind us, people can no longer justify paying the fees and inflated menu prices associated with clicking order from the couch. Sweet Green has fulfilled fewer delivery orders and more pickups recently. Deliveries for Cava have similarly declined, with pickups on the up. And Chipotle's delivery revenue dropped 15.8% last quarter. Let's round it up to 16% compared to the same time last year. Grubhub's parent company did report decreasing order volumes across North America this year. And he says that his family used Instacart during the pandemic for grocery delivery, but stopped in the past year due to the fees. So food delivery is declining. And you know what? It's interesting too, because a lot of restaurants they don't have as many people sitting down and eating in their places anymore. Of course, some people still worried about catching COVID there in the small spaces, which, by the way, I look at pictures of me wearing a mask. I can understand, and I probably still will wear masks like on BART or something where you're in closed quarters and you just don't know what people are carrying, what they're coughing out of their mouths, what they're sneezing out of their noses. You don't want it, so you avoid it. But I look at these pictures from during the COVID era where I'm out there in a huge field in the great outdoors. There's no one around and I'm wearing a mask. That was a little over the top. I will definitely agree with that. So that is, and let's see, anything else? Yeah, he talks about Hot Ones. I could care less about that YouTube show. Okay, fascinating though, that it is not as much deliveries. My lovely lady friend will get it. She doesn't have a car. So if she wants to get food taken out, if she wants to go, she has to walk and get it unless I'm around. So she is probably one of those people that still use Grubhub and Uber Eats and all that stuff all the time. And now, outside a cafe anyway, look who is joining us. Hello, my gosh, it's Madame Rootabega. Oh, that was very interesting. Oh, did you enjoy hearing me talk about Grubhub? Yes. Did you enjoy hearing me talk about how you shouldn't say, you should still call it Twitter and don't call it X, or certainly don't say Twitter, formerly X, or whatever it is? Yes. Did you like the band yet? X? No. X, man. John Doe, Xena. Wow. Hey, baby, it's the 4th of July. That's what I think of every time I think of that new platform or the recently renamed platform. No! So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to chime in about anything we covered today, you can call me at 510-228-4640, even though I don't care what you say. That's just the thing that we've learned on today's podcast. And with more ways to reach me, it is a friend.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, you didn't even talk to us today.
Yeah, you left us here. Do you know that? Sorry, guys. I really, really do apologize. I'll make it up to you next time. Next time we do a show, maybe. But this is kind of awkward because it's the end of the podcast and there's really no more time left for you.
Mike, you should tell people that they can contact you and complain at MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Yeah, MikesDailyPodcast.com. Do you know that? I did know that it was MikesDailyPodcast.com.